How's everybody doing today? Excellent. Well, Chief and I are fired up to be here. Singer, thanks for having us. And we will do the important business right up front. Does that sound good?
All right. So some of you who were in my wing staff meeting a couple weeks ago heard this story. Others have probably heard it trickling around the base. Sometimes we have the right airmen with the right training in the right place with the mindset of just doing the right thing. So what we had in this particular incident was we had some airmen downtown having dinner, just normal thing, right? Had a little bit of downtime, got downtown, had some dinner. And we had a local family come into a restaurant pretty distraught. The wife's very upset and screaming. Essentially, her husband had fallen out, right? So we had Staff Sergeant Richardson and her folks that were sitting around the table just kind of did what we all hoped that we would do to prevent that situation, and they just sprung into action. So Sergeant Richardson's a medic at home, but she's out here doing FP work for us to keep that going, but her natural kind of instincts kicked in, jumped in, started to assess the situation, found out this gentleman didn't have a pulse, started CPR, spent 30 minutes reviving him, and then sat with him for the better part of an hour until the Kuwait forces, kind of ambulance service could show up and get him off to a higher level of care. I'll tell you, I don't know how that story ends, because that was the end of it from our perspective, right? We did the right thing, we kept him alive, and then the local authorities took over. But again, I hope that we would all do that in that case, and I just wanted to introduce Sergeant Richardson.
Woohoo! All right. Really impressive. And I understand that you got a call from the Chief of Staff of the Air Force.
Yes, sir.
I've never even been called by the Chief of Staff there. That's awesome. Congratulations. You deserve it. You made us all proud.
Thank you, sir.
Well deserved. All right. Well, I tell you what, Chief and I, it's the highlight of our time in the KAOC to get out of the KAOC and come see you guys. And so we want to make this fun. We want to make this valuable for you. And we also want to make it engaging. And we will plan on doing that. But we're not going to make it very long. How about that? Does that sound good? Yeah, it's like, woohoo! Yeah. All right, hey, first up, this is the first and most important message, and that is thank you, okay? Thank you. You guys are over here serving your country. You're away from your families. You're away from loved ones. Holidays are approaching. There's a sacrifice that each and every one of you are making by being here, and I want to tell you thank you, okay? And I want to tell you that we appreciate it a great deal. We know it's not easy to be over here. But I'll tell you, there's one thing that you should realize, though, in this sacrifice, in the hardship of being here, and that's this. What you're doing matters. It matters. It freaking matters to our nation, and it matters to the coalition. And it's not too hard to figure that out if you just look at the news and you see what's going on in this region. You guys matter. You're making a difference. And sometimes it may be hard to have that connection of how that difference is being made, but that's what I'm going to help you guys with today and talk a little bit about that. But first and foremost, we want to tell you thank you, because we know the sacrifice is there. Loved ones, whether you get to FaceTime them or not, they miss you, okay? And I know you miss them, and I miss my kids too. And so, but all of us are over here with a pretty important mission, and you guys are getting it done. And so let's just think about, why are we all over here for after all these years? What are the primary drivers? Well, clearly, as you've seen in the news, we've been really successful at two major efforts in this coalition of many nations that have come together to defeat ISIS. We've been successful because last spring we finished off the physical caliphate of ISIS. And then most recently, we just took down the leader and some other very high members of the organization. That's pretty good schwack, okay, for our nation, who led almost all of the counterterrorism part of it, to have done. And you guys were part of it, okay? You're part of it. And matter of fact, you're instrumental in it from right here at this base. So fighting our current wars, which is defeating ISIS, fighting our current wars, which you're also affecting this fight over in Afghanistan, now for 18 years. We're pushing air power into both of those fights, the kinetic fights that we see each day. That's still happening, and we're making a difference, and you could see it on the news, okay? You were linked to that stuff just by being here and by what you do. But I also say, you know, in addition to supporting those fights that we do, we have a higher purpose. And our higher purpose is, believe it or not, we are a deterrent force. Okay, you know, the best way to avoid war is to be prepared to fight one. Okay, and when folks in this region see U.S. forces, very capable U.S. forces, air power in this region, it's a deterrent force. Did you wake up this morning thinking, I am a deterrent force? Maybe you did. I don't know. Good on you. You are. Okay? And you are, and you are, and you, every single one of you is a deterrent force. And you're not just deterring Iranian aggression, which you may have seen in the news. We actually are over here to kind of, in a way, indirectly prevent these countries from fighting each other. I know it sounds ridiculous. They're brothers, they're sisters, they're neighbors. They're some of the same family names, but they would fight each other oftentimes if there was no significant coalition, especially U.S. military presence here. You know, there's in the country that Chief and I live in, Qatar has undergone what's called a blockade, where 4 countries, back in 2017, 4 countries basically isolated Qatar. They wouldn't let Qatari cell phones work. They cut off all the produce into their countries. They had no fresh food, milk, anything for, it took months for them to recover. They wouldn't let the Qatari airlines fly over their airspace. It was a blockade. It was an isolation. Imagine if one state was like isolated by the states around it. That's outrageous, right? But that's what happened right here in the theater. But you know, that was a non-connect, didn't go to war, but what happened was, short of war was a blockade, but it could have been a war, even right here on this side of the Gulf, if it wasn't for distinct U.S. military presence, okay? And then now you roll in this other bad actor in the neighborhood called Iran, who has clearly made some very threatening actions in this theater, okay? They have mined the Straits of Hormuz and they put those limpet mines on vessels, which are merchant vessels, which are trying to take oil through the straits, blown holes in the side of those. They've shot down a BAMS-D, which is like a Navy version of an RQ-4, a big Global Hawk, big old airplane with a massive wingspan. They shot down that airplane in international waters, like right through airliners, they shot it down. And most recently, they flew unmanned aerial systems very near us right here around into Saudi Arabia and attacked their oil fields. For the Saudis, man, that was like Pearl Harbor. They're like, oh my God, we just got attacked at our key, most critical piece of our infrastructure, which is our oil revenue. Because without that oil revenue, they don't have a Saudi Arabia anymore, okay? So it is a wake-up call for the region, this aggression that's going on. But the one red line that has existed, the one red line that Iran has had, is that they haven't gone so far as to target us, okay? And they know if they do, they're going to get a real big can of something bad opening up, coming their way, okay? And that's the deterrent element that you guys provide every day. It's hard to wake up and say, I deterred something, but you are, okay? And you deter it because of your own credibility. Each and every one of you brings a level of expertise in your mission set that other countries are envious of. Man, Chief and I go around and see these nations, you know, and whether you're a defender or a civil engineer or a communicator or FSS or a medic or you work on aircraft maintenance or a back shop or you fly the airplane, they are envious of who you are and what you're capable of doing, the training that your nation gave you. They're envious. And they also know that that envy, that equals a credible force that they see. And it's amazing. You don't even know, I know you don't wake up in the morning going, man, I'm a credible force, I'm a deterrent. People are envious of me, but they are, okay? And oftentimes we take it for granted in the States. We take it for granted when we're in the Air Force, but that's the case. And so the major lines of effort that I have as the commander of the Air Forces in the region, number one is deterrence. You know, we can kill all the Taliban we want, we can kill all the ISIS we want, or not, and it really doesn't hurt us that bad in the homeland. But if there was to be a major war that erupts in this theater and the oil that flows through the Straits of Hormuz were to be cut off, or there's a regional war or something that brings in Israel, that would hurt us in the homeland because it would affect the global economy, and everyone you do love or FaceTime back in the States would feel it, okay? That's the number one objective, is prevent major war in this theater, and you're doing it. Clearly, the next and second highest priority that we have is sustaining and fighting those fights that we have. You know, when you generate those airlifters that go out of here, they land in those dirt strips in Syria to retrograde forces out of there. When you help reposition our special operators into the theater, when you move gateway passengers in and out, where you fly those RPAs out of here and they go a long way away and they keep an eye on really bad people and sometimes they kill those bad people, that's the day-to-day fight that we have to do for our mission here, and you're doing that every day, okay? We just said, not too long ago, we said goodbye to the EC-130s, very capable asset that was here on base after many, many years of being deployed over here, which is also electronic warfare capability that was very, very highly utilized in the defeat of ISIS, okay? And so that's that second major line of effort that's kind of ongoing, all right? And then lastly, I kind of alluded to it, and it's our effort to try to build partner capacity. You know, all of us would love it if these countries over here could generate air power the way we do, if they could operate this airfield the way you guys can operate it, if they could fly airplanes and maintain airplanes and sustain a base that we do. They just can't. So one of the efforts that we have over here is to build partner capacity, build their ability to defend themselves, okay? Because I would like it if our children and grandchildren don't have to come over here and deploy. That'd be the ultimate goal, because that means they could take care of themselves and they're actually at peace. And so that's something that we're trying to do. We're working on that in Afghanistan and Iraq, because those countries, obviously, they were taken down, very, very damaged by war, and we're really trying to build them up in their air forces. We're also kind of doing it indirectly right here in Kuwait. Any interaction you have with Kuwaitis, it's an opportunity for them to learn about how the U.S. does this and probably learn from you, okay? And you guys are doing it right here every day. And so those three lines of effort, deterrence in this region, fighting the kinetic wars for our nation, and building partner capacity, those are the main reasons that we're all stuck over here. But boy, does it matter, okay? Just turn on the news and you'll see why it matters, all right? And so I just wanted you guys to know that no matter what your job is, it's important to me and to our nation and to the coalition, okay? And to a very important purpose, all right? And so with that, I'll stop talking. And I'd like to turn it over to the Chief for some reflections. Chief, over to you.
Thanks, boss. I'll tell you, you hear me loud and clear, am I good? So, sir, it's an honor to serve, be on your team and serve these airmen and get up here and just spend some time with them and just hang out. It's kind of really, it's the best moments for us is we can step out of the chaos, get on the road, kind of mix it up in your formation and just spend some time with you, because this is where it's at. You know, and oftentimes, I was on a phone call yesterday with some other command chiefs across the globe. You know, it was ACC, AMC, PACAF. Like, hey, Sean, so man, what's it like over there right now? We're watching the news. Man, give us the goods. What is it like? I'm like, one of them, I was like, dude, it's like Game of Thrones on steroids. You know, there's so many actors and players, and the boss was talking about all these things that are going on at once. And we, us, as a team, we kind of have a front row seat to chaos, or maybe we could say a front row seat to warfighting excellence, and that's you. So it's a leadership lab happening in real time, but the stakes are high. This isn't practice. It's for real, and you get that. So I don't know if you know this, but every morning we have a meeting where leaders across the theater, and we're sitting there talking about all the ops and intel that's going on all over this theater. And we're talking about you. We're talking about the Marauders and what you're getting after, literally by task, by mission. Every morning we're talking about the things that you're doing and the impact it has. Whether it's all the things you're doing with the foreign terrorist fighters and kind of getting those things cleaned up and moving them to where they need to go, or supporting KLZ, NLZ, and making the airlift machine look so easy, but we know it's not, right? That's a global mission that we do right here, and there's so much more. And you're doing it, and you make it look easy. And we just want to say, we want you to feel connected to the mission because you are the mission. And every single morning, when you wake up and put on the cloth of our uniform, and it's got patches all over to tell us what team we're on and what our name is, right, and all that good stuff that's like every other jersey. But our jersey, it means a little more, right? And people always ask me, hey, Chief, what's your favorite morale patch? I'm like, man, I wear a morale patch every single day. It's an American flag, right? It isn't getting any bigger than that. So I know we all feel that and believe it, but it's good to hear it from someone that's outside your formation. So thank you very much for what you bring. And as you kind of get up in the morning to do this every day, you brush your teeth, you're staring yourself in the mirror, you should see a warrior staring right back at you, because that's what you are. And here's the thing about warriors, and you may have heard me say this if I've visited you before. Warriors are team-oriented, mission-focused, and universally respected. That's what warriors are. That's what you are. And we're proud of you. And we want you to know that we know there may be some people missing you back home and you miss them. But everything we do, when you break it all the way down to the bare bones of the why, and there's many whys, but the bare bones why, we protect and do the things we do for the people that we love the most and the people that love us the most. And they may be back home right now, and you know what they're thinking about? They're thinking about, the World Series that just passed, or we're in the mid-season of NFL, churches, roads, and schools. They're not thinking about ISIS or Taliban or Al-Qaeda or TSO or Turks incursions, right? Because we are. And they can think about all those other things. They sleep good at night because sometimes we don't. And that's okay because we voluntarily do that for our nation. And we just want to say thank you for saying yes. Saying yes to when your country needs you most. And you have people that show aggressive initiative to figure out how to do it better, right? How do you take care of each other better? How do you create platforms to kind of get a release, take a knee and get some water when you need it, to be there for a fellow warrior, to be that bouncing board, so you thrive while you're deployed, so you're a better, defender, medic, engineer. And you're doing all that. We've heard stories from Chief Colon and Colonel Simpson about how you guys have all these ideas. Despite being in combat and working real hard, you figure out how you can do it better, faster, and smarter every single day. And that's what professionals do. And that's what you're doing. We're proud of you. We want to do it with you. And we want to hear what you have on your mind. And we want to hear your ideas, frankly, because you have the good ones. And we want to help you turn them into action. Fair enough? All right, well. All right, sir. Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, so I will do my best to answer any question as straight up as I can, and I want to have a dialogue if you guys are up for it. So who's got a question? Uh-oh, right here, right off the bat. LT? Oh, well, that's a great question. Thanks. Oh, Chief's gonna.
One that was just recent, right? So I just used one to real close flash today. So a couple of days ago, we had an opportunity for Secretary of Treasury. Hey, what can we do for your airmen? Right? Our job really is to be a platform, a mouthpiece for you, so that we can maybe leverage our our influence or position to kind of maybe get you heard. So he was like, what are some things we can do for you, right? What is one thing here at IUD, and it was specific to that particular wing at the time, and I talk about what's important to airmen. I'm like, well, today as I travel, it's like, airmen will typically, they will sleep anywhere or eat anything as long as they have Wi-Fi, right? That's a thing. Like, you know it. So, and there's good Wi-Fi, there's bad Wi-Fi, there's no Wi-Fi, but that's how you connect a family. That's how you stay connected to your purpose oftentimes. And he's like, well, how can I help? If I could write a check right now, as someone who represents the POTUS right here in your patch, how can we do it? I'm going to write a check to make sure our airmen have the Wi-Fi they need. And then we're working to figure out how he gets to yes, and we're going to get to yes on Wi-Fi for the whole theater. That's a small example. Money matters, right? Because you need kit, you need things to do your job. The boss was fighting tooth and nail, because there's not enough to go around. But the last time I checked, you guys, we're the only organization in the Air Force that's slinging lead, that's at war. And we need all the money and resources. And we were taking some decrement to OCO money. I think it's 400 million, sir. And we took that decrement. And the boss was like charging the windmill. Ollie needs that money. Deed needs that money. Doffer needs that money so you can do your job. And we fought and said, hey, here's why we can't take OCO money cuts. We're still engaged in combat. And then we fought, and we got every single red cent of that $400 million back so we can pour right back into a wing just like you. There's a couple of things off the top of my head for the last week or two, sir.
Spot on, Chief. That's really one of the best questions I've had, but I want to tell you this, the number one thing I think, because we can't pay you much more money and Wi-Fi, all the quality of life things, we can do to a limited extent. My ultimate goal would be to ensure that we only have airmen over here that are fully utilized in an important mission area. And that if we have excess capacity that's not truly needed, I want those airmen to go back, to redeploy back to the United States, because I want to bring them only forward if we actually need them. Because I've always felt, if I'm forward somewhere, put me to work, or I don't want to be killing time not doing something that matters, okay? And so in total, that's always something that we're looking at, is making sure we just have the right amount of folks over here, not too much. We don't want to crush everyone and work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's not what we're looking for either, but trying to get those dials right. And the big machine doesn't often deliver that way. But I want to make sure that we have the right airmen over here plugged into the right jobs, and then, because certainly the mission matters, and then hopefully that equals job satisfaction. And that to me is the most I can do for you, I think, at the grandest level. Other than that, honestly, we do care a lot about constantly what kind of living conditions do you have. We got airmen in tents. In Saudi Arabia right now, our civil engineers just put up tents. Airmen are going to go in for 6 straight months in old school tents and trudging out through the dirt to their Cadillacs. And I think they just now got 3 hots a day, although they're UGRs, So we are constantly looking at where quality of life issues could be improved, But my number one objective is to make sure that folks have a mission to do, are capable of doing it, and we don't have people over here that we don't fully utilize. That would be my ultimate goal. That's a really good question.
Sir, I would just one last add-on. We talk about this often in the car rides and the plane is, as leaders, and every one of your leaders, you could be a 1-striper to a 4-star general as a leader, but one of the biggest responsibilities of us is all of you deserve good leadership. Every single one of you deserve a good climate. Every one of you deserve you to have a work environment where it's trust, dignity, respect, so you can absolutely thrive wherever we plant you. I mean, I would think that's one of the biggest things that we owe you. We got to constantly work hard every single day to do that for you.
Amen.
Sir.
What other questions anybody may have? The pressure's building.
There's one, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Got a mic.
My question is, blah, 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 hello.
We got you.
Okay. My question is, it's not, you don't run into a 3-star general so often, and it's not every day that you get advice from a 3-star general. So my question is, what advice can you give to airmen who are on the line about getting out, on the line about staying in? Because although I love wearing this uniform, there's a lot of things that come into play, and sometimes I just want to hear it from someone who's been in for a very, very long time.
That's me, sir. That's me. That was over here.
In a good way. In a good way. I know you've had a lot of experience, and you've been through multiple leadership roles. You've dealt with many airmen. So I kind of just want to know your opinions and advice that you can give to airmen about it.
That's a great question. Yes, you are right. 32 years, I'm like petrified. It's so old, 32 years of service. That's a good question. Here's the first thing I'll say, though. To anyone who walks up and says, "Hey, sir, I'm getting out," you know what I say? Thank you. Thank you for having served your country. I don't give them any crap for getting out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a big decision that you got to make. There's no guilt. There's no beat down. I say thanks. Awesome. Are you sure? Are you sure? I want to make sure they're sure. But I say thank you. And it doesn't matter if it's an enlistment, if it's 10 years, if it's 20, none of us want to die on active duty, I can tell you that, right? So all of us are going to make that transition at some point in our life. And for everyone, it's different, I think to me, the reason why I've stayed in this long, obviously I love our country. I started out as a fighter pilot, although now that's not my core purpose anymore. The number one reason I've stayed in is the camaraderie and the friends that I've built over time. I feel like I'm contributing to something bigger than me, and that brings, for me, that's, pride personally to feel like I'm making a difference. And then otherwise it's my friends that I've made over the years. So many military folks are in such appeal outside the military because of how good you are, how reliable you are, how dedicated you are. And to find that across the general population, you're 1 in a million. You're 1 in a million. And so it's, for me, you have to realize you're going to leave, and you can, by the way, if you're not complaining about something at work, everyone should, you got to complain about something, right? That's just life. You got to complain. But in the end, though, there's a lot of goodness in being in, it's your friends, it's the mission, and that's what I want to make sure people realize. I'll tell you this, I can't speak to every AFSC. I can only speak to my buddies that flew jets with me that got out after their initial thing, which is 8 years. You get your pilot training wings, and then you do your whatever jet you're going to, and then it's about 8, maybe 10 years. I'm not sure what their commitment is, something like that. Every one of them that got out, even the ones that went to the Guard, which, by the way, phenomenal. I'm a total Force fan. Almost all of them go, man, I really miss it when I was in. All of my buddies that are flying airlines right now, they're like, dude, it's so cool what you're doing over there. They miss it. They do. And so just remember all of those things as you make that decision, and I'm not trying to say, hey, stay in it all. No, you got to make those decisions for yourself. But the sense of pride and all that, it's hard to step on the other side of the fence and look back. But once you're out, it's kind of too late, I'll say that. So I don't know, that's my thoughts. That was a dang good question, though. Appreciate it. Yeah.
So, sir, for context, most of the folks in the room are about 4 months into their 6 months. Right? They come up on the set, they're driving through the mission. What would you ask of them for that next 60 days, and probably more importantly, when they go home? What story do you want them to tell the other folks in the squadron, families, kind of the rest of the people that we can inspire?
Well, thanks. Well, for starters, the cool part is when you do go home, you can say, I freaking rocked over there. Our mission mattered. Did you see the news? We kicked some ass, all right? And we're still kicking ass for our nation. So you can easily go home and tell them that you made a difference and explain how you were instrumental in generating air power, sustaining this base, which pushed the air power out to do, to crush the enemies, to take care of our guys and gals on the ground in foreign lands. You generated that air power from here, and you executed it. So you did make a difference. It's easy to go home and explain how you made a difference. Air power has to come from a base, and that base needs you. Okay, a mission would fail without you, each and every one of you. So that's like the easiest thing at the end, to know that you matter, and you can happily do that when you're home. While you're here, though, like we said, the mission's real. okay? The threat is real. This isn't, I say, our grandfather's AOR over here, meaning the bases were kind of like an island. We were completely safe on these bases. You know, if tensions were to get really high with Iran, okay? If tensions were to get high with Iran, the base is something they would want to target. Okay, and so we had to get serious about defending these bases. Okay, and it's a different mindset than it had historically been. Okay, and whether it be duck and cover, whether it be understanding, you know, that there could be ground threats. Obviously, our defenders will initially have to deal with, but there are threats to bases. That is something we always have to keep in the back of our minds. We don't have the luxury. We're not sitting in the States right now. We are forward deployed, and we are vulnerable based on our locations. Okay, and so it's important to remember that. So we need focused on the job, and focused on that aspect of it. I would say that, without a doubt, over the next 60 days that you're here, stay focused, okay? If you just do and execute your job, that's obviously critical. I need that. But also realize there is a threat out there that we need to be able to deal with if it were to come up. Because the nation's going to count on you to generate this air power, whether it's in, you know, whether it's a benign environment or it's a hostile one. Okay, and it'll be real obvious what starts to happen. It'll be galvanizing, you know, if it does. But it's a serious game that we're over here for, and so I appreciate the question. Chief, did you have anything to address to that?
I would say is just, you know, continue to master the basics. Mastering the basics, whether it's security, force protection, your task at hand, and kind of push it all the way through. Continue to do it safely. Continue to understand your purpose, and then kind of set conditions for the rip TOA or the turnover that's going to occur. So you set that replacement up for success. So this thing just keeps going, and it frankly, actually, more than just keeps going. You kind of make it better than you found it, and that's kind of what we do. And as we do this cycle and cycle, the wing and our combat capability just keeps getting better and better because you made it so. Stay focused, do it safe, master the basics, and just, you know, kind of do your job and do it well.
Amen. Yes, well said. Okay, if there's no other questions, I will take this mic off, and Chief will too. And what we'll do is we will hang out up here up on the stage. If anybody wants to come up for any one-on-one questions or anything like that, you're welcome to. If you don't want to ask it here, we'll hang out for a few minutes if you guys are interested. Sound good? Hey, everyone, thank you for your service. We appreciate your sacrifice. Keep doing what you're doing. Each and every one of you matters to us. If there's anything we can do for you, I know you're going to let us know. I sat down with your leadership beforehand. We're going to work on some things to try to address things that we can, where we can. But know this, know that you're appreciated. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Godspeed.